First shot of bourbon on this holiday podcast for Marcello.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have many days left in 2022. Thank God.
2 days left.
What a horrific year. I mean, just put this thing to bed already.
The
Hopefully, I can make it 2 more days.
market was open today, right?
Yeah, mercifully. Yeah, it was open. Last day for tax loss selling.
Was it anything dramatic happen?
Nothing different than what it's been. Just a bloodbath,
Yeah.
blood red. A couple things in there that were bouncing a little oversold stuff, but a lot of negative sentiment out there, Jack. A lot of negative sentiment.
Yeah. What do you think about is it a good time to buy in?
Not, I wouldn't push all in. No, I mean,
No.
I think we could have further down to go. Yeah, there's
Really?
going to be there's probably going to be a washout moment where you have real capitulation, where people, you haven't really had that fear. You got to watch the VIX, the fear index. When that gets back over 30, if that goes into the high 30s, that's when you know there's real panic selling. There really hasn't been that. It's been pretty orderly.
Yeah.
But I think the Fed is close to getting done what it's supposed to get done, and then hopefully, he doesn't throw us into too deep of a recession or even a depression, and we can get out of this thing, start to rebuild.
Yeah. Well, let's start by rebuilding our sports betting bankrolls.
Yeah.
Although I am coming off a really solid week. You had a bit of a bloodbath. I was just tallying up our totals from last week. You got crushed in our picks. You were 6-9. I was 10-5.
Yeah, but we did very well on the joint picks once again.
Well, yeah, we were 3-2. We had the Chargers, Packers, Steelers, and Baltimore. Oh, that was 4. Actually, we were 4-2.
4-2.
Yeah, 4-2, and we lost on Denver and Cleveland.
Oh God, did we ever? Denver was a disgrace.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't that surprised that the defense finally just waved the white flag and said, "We're done. Like, we're sick of carrying this team." Right?
Yeah,
that's kind of what happened.
Complete disarray. Obviously, they fired the coach finally. He was, listen, he needed to go. They don't like Wilson. There's been so many injuries on that team all year. And, even trading away Chubb, halfway through the year, their defense kind of hung in there best they could. But that's a team I think that's like almost tear it down and rebuild it type of team. I mean, they're in big trouble.
Yeah,
it's a good job. I mean, if you're coming in as a head coach and you're looking for a job, I mean, if you could land in Denver, I mean, there's worse places to be. It's a pretty proud franchise. They have a good history.
Of course.
They have good ownership.
That's a dream job for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. But man, they were really that was some bloodbath. I mean, I couldn't believe how bad they were against the Rams.
Have you heard any rumors about who they're eyeing as a coach?
I really haven't. I haven't heard much about it at all. It's interesting in a year, what a difference a year make. I was looking at last year, I'm in this pick pool where I pick every game against the spread every week. It's pretty tough. So last year I won the pool. I was 157 and 115. Mm-hmm. This year I'm 119 and 122.
Yeah.
And I'm basically,
I thought it was, when you were telling me your record last year, I mean, I told you that was like exceptional.
Extraordinarily good. And I'll tell you why. The data that I was using last year, the head-to-head trend data, was on fire last year. Mm-hmm. And this year it's almost the opposite.
Yeah.
So it kind of doesn't matter what these teams have done historically against each other. It just hasn't played out that way.
Well, let's get into the card for this week. We got a full card on New Year's Day. Interesting week. I'm like, no Saturday games. Got a lot of bowl games tomorrow, including my Ohio State Buckeyes.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm trying to it took me until yesterday to tell Anna that the game was on, because she was like, well, what are we doing? And I was like, I don't know. Or I didn't want to tell her that the Ohio State, and she doesn't know. So she's like, do you want to go over to, our friends of ours invited us over, and we're not that close with these people. And I was just like, well, Ohio State's playing. That's the thing. I mean, if you want to get out of it, you could tell them that, like, I'm having a friend over to watch the game. So
don't you have the early game?
No, we have the freaking late game.
What time is that? 8?
8:30. Yeah,
that sucks.
I know. It's
I
just sort of
hate I
like,
hate that they do it. I don't like that they do this on New Year's
yeah. And
Eve.
I was really had my fingers crossed that we would be the early game.
Yep.
But I guess because Georgia's number one and Ohio, Ohio State year after year. I mean, we have so much political power. Like
Yes.
when it came to getting that fourth spot, knowing how our fans are, knowing how we travel, knowing
Totally.
how much money is behind the university and the viewership and
Six is in.
the ratings. It's like
Yeah.
I was just checking the lines. So I was looking for the NFL lines. I realized there's no Saturday games. The line's down to 6 that want to
I
make
saw
bets.
that. I saw that.
People are betting into the Buckeyes.
Wow. I don't know
Yeah.
how. I mean, I don't know how you're going to stop them on the ground, but I think if you bet Ohio State, you like the money line.
Yeah.
And I either think they're going to get trashed or they're going to win the game. I don't see it as a 3-point nail biter. But listen, I don't know anything about college, admittedly.
Yeah.
So the good news for me last week is despite when I picked the whole card, I mean, the picks I did with you that we agreed on is 4-2. That's still a pretty good percentage, 66%. The picks across the board for me obviously weren't good, but what was good is I moved up in the standings in Megabucks New York again,
Mm-hmm.
because I think I hit, I mean, every Wong teaser I put in hit. I had the Saints against your terrible team at home. Your
I was gonna
team,
say, I mean, the amount of Wong teasers
I hit everyone.
that came in last week.
Everyone came in.
I'm surprised you're not at 300,000 points.
No, 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 because I only bet five. I'm very good at managing my bankroll this year. I'm not doing that. I'm not taking the risks.
Yeah.
Doing 5,000 units per bet. Period. That's it.
They all came in last week, right? Last week was like
Yes,
I don't think there was a single Wong that didn't come in.
you're absolutely right. And the Wongs are hitting at a huge percentage now, way over 75% for the year.
Mm-hmm.
I think Wongs, if I don't have the total, but in my mind, if I had to add them up, I think the Wongs are somewhere around 16-3.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, just remarkable percentage. Yeah,
Impressive.
and there's 3 this week.
Okay, let's get into it. Speaking of
Yep.
Denver, they're the first game on the card.
Are they?
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, they're playing at 1 o'clock this week, which is interesting. They're playing the Chiefs. They're taking some money, which is surprising, but this was, up to 13 and a half. It's back down to 12 and a half, even though it opened at 10.
Who's
I,
the interim?
what's that?
Who is the interim coach?
That's a good question. I don't know. Let me
Is it
look
their
it up.
defensive coordinator? Their offensive coordinator?
Jerry Rosberg.
Hmm. I
Who?
mean, I won't bet this game, but I could imagine I would put Kansas City in every 4-team teaser under the sun. There's no way they lose at home when they have a chance to get the number 1 seed. And
Right.
Buffalo's got a tough game Monday night against Cincinnati. So, and listen, Mahomes, last game they had him dead and buried 27-0 in Denver. Mahomes got cute and stupid like he does in the second half. Sometimes he threw 3 interceptions and Denver kind of covered the backdoor spread. I don't see how Denver has anything to play for in this game. I mean, they obviously quit last week on defense. They had
Yeah.
enough. They hate Russell Wilson. They have injuries all over the board. I don't see them competing. I mean, I guess Sutton is still playing with Judy. So there you go. I mean, you have weapons, but you've had those guys all year and it hasn't worked. So
I
I don't
know.
know how you can like Denver here at Kansas City. Kansas City's not going to take them lightly. I'd be stunned if they did, but listen, it's a big number. And you've been saying the big numbers have not been getting there in December. So maybe there's something to that, but I would lay the points. I'm going to lay the points minus 12.5 for the purposes of what we do.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, is the defense going to just say we're done for the season, or was that they just decided to take last week off? And I mean, who knows what's going on inside that locker room? But
Nothing good.
I'm not going to take Denver in this game. I kind of like you. I regretted doing it last week. The numbers supported what we did, but we just didn't think they would not show up, which is
Well,
really
I
kind
mean,
of what happened with the Rams.
your DVOA ranking recency bias on their defense was flawed, obviously, because they got torched by Baker
No,
Mayfield.
it wasn't flawed. It just
And
They
Cam
didn't. They
Akers,
didn't. They decided not to play. I mean, what can
Cam
we say?
Akers had 3 touchdowns on the ground. I mean, they couldn't stop a nosebleed. They were absolutely they're quitters. They quit.
Yeah.
You can't bet on quitters.
Well, you know who else quit last week, and we'll talk about it later. But like Detroit didn't show up either in the Carolina game for you, and there was every reason to believe that they would that would be a close game. But
Something was fishy about that line, and we knew it. And you took Carolina, good for you. And so did Scott Van Pelt as one of his sneaky picks on winners, because the line made no sense.
Yeah,
Carolina has been playing better with Darnold. We know that they're 3-1 in their last 4. They do a pretty good job running the ball. So the question there wasn't Detroit going to stop? I didn't realize Detroit was going to stop scoring.
yeah,
Like Carolina's defense shut them down pretty much, and they never even at the end when the back door was swinging. I mean, they had chances, they just couldn't move the ball. It was weird.
yeah.
It was a weird
So
day for
anyway,
Detroit.
let's wrap this one up. I'm with you.
All right,
I'm gonna lay the 12.5 with the Chiefs over Denver. I could not back them after what I saw last week and the firing of the coach. I gotta figure they're trying to just get to the off season as quickly as possible.
God,
So
I think
I'm
so
on
too,
Denver
man.
with you.
I like KC in this game, 31-3.
Yeah. Well, it's like the back door is going to be open. The only question is like how open.
I'm not sure it will be. I think this is the kind of one where the Kansas City gets out to that early lead. I don't see Denver fighting back here. I just think it's a comedy of errors for them. They have no stability in the locker room, on the field, in the coaching, any of that. It's just been the whole thing hasn't worked, and they're dying to get to 23.
Yeah. So this next game is Carolina Tampa. And I think I don't know if you remember, but do you remember the other day when I said, oh, the lines are up at want to make a bet? I released them all. I approved them all. And Carolina was getting 6.5.
What a game.
And I was shocked. I was like, oh my God. And sure enough, the market reacted the exact same way that I did. They took this down, it opened at 7. 6.5, then went back to 7-6, and then as soon as that game ended against Arizona, it was 3. And it's been 3 all week. It went to 3.5. I want to make a bet, but in my contest, I think I even have 2.5. And I'm going to surprise you with what I'm about to say. But
don't tell me you're taking Tampa.
There has been
you cannot
massive overreaction to Carolina's win over Detroit. And as I said, I really believe Detroit, after playing so well for 6 weeks, they finally just ran out of gas last week. And I actually like them against Chicago, and we'll talk about that later. But I actually believe that there's a lot of value in taking Tampa at 3 or under 3. I think this is to win the NFC South. I don't think Carolina is going to do it. I think Tom Brady, in a situation like this where he's at home, the defense is going to show up and he'll figure out a way to get the ball. As painful as that offense has been to watch, and fat Lenny with the check down passes getting 4 yards, it's still going to happen. But I just feel like it's time for them to make their push. They're going to get into the playoffs. They're going to win the South. And this is an amazing contrarian position to the market. And I love Tampa tomorrow or on Sunday.
Okay.
I don't know what you think.
Welcome aboard.
Really? You're on them?
We've known that Tampa was going to be in this situation the whole year where they were basically just kind of, for Brady and them, they know they're in the position to win this division. They knew they had this game at home. They kind of muddled their way through the season with a lot of injuries and some bad play. And the game in Arizona was fucking farce. I mean, they were horrible.
I know.
They were lucky to win the game. I had a -1.5 and I was sweating and cursing and screaming because they are so inept. But
you had them in one of your Wongs.
Yeah, it was a Wong.
Oh, wow.
7.5 down to 1.5. I had him in 2 Wongs.
Yeah.
But you know what? I think you're right here. I think the linebacker play will be good.
They're getting healthier also.
The only thing that scares me is, listen, Carolina does a nice job of running the ball. They've also been scoring. They score 27 points a game the last 4 games, and they're running the ball down people's throats. And Darnold is not really turning it over. So it gives me a little bit of a pause. Can they go on the road against Brady and do it in a big spot? I mean, I don't see it. I don't see Carolina as being able to do that.
Yeah, and I think like these guys like Vita Vea is going to be healthy. Winfield's going to find a way to get onto the field. Like these guys who have
Yeah,
been,
it
they're
matters.
getting healthier.
Yeah, it matters. The receivers have been so bad. Brady's, I mean, God, he looked so bad the other night.
Brady's been bad. He's been terrible.
Wow, has he been awful? But you know what? To win a game at home against a division rival, I mean, Carolina beat them the first time, right? They smashed them at home, I believe. That was
Yeah,
a
he did.
big win
Yeah,
for them. Yeah, I
yeah,
don't see I don't see Carolina sweeping them. So I'm going to take Tampa here too. I don't know. You know, it's going to be a dogfight to cover that 2.5. I mean, Tampa doesn't cover against anybody, but
yeah. But
I like him
I
this.
do
I
think
like him
there's,
this week. I've liked them all year, and I've been pretty wrong. I mean, I've been lucky to walk away a few times on the money line with them where they arguably shouldn't have won the game. Um, and I'm going to stick with him here. I can't imagine Brady blowing this opportunity. I can't imagine Bowles not having the defense ready, despite his inability as a head coach. I think they'll do enough to get past Carolina in what I think would be a low scoring game. Despite the fact that Carolina's been scoring a lot of points, I see this as being really tight, and maybe a kind of game that suck up can win at the end with a field goal, in a low scoring 20-17 type of game.
yeah. Okay, so we're on the same page. Two
Wow,
in a row.
two
Wow.
out of the gate, 2 in a row. It's very unlike us.
I know, I know. I just want to see, I want to make sure that my lines at wannamakeabet.com are not posted for the following week. Okay, good. Um, let's move on to game number 3, which is the Colts at the Giants.
What's this line? 6?
It's 5.5.
5.5.
3.5. It jumped up the other day, I guess, because of
Nick
the,
Foles was so bad.
well, that must have happened. I mean, that happened. Let's see. That went from 3.5 to 5.5 on the 27th. So that was, what was that? Wednesday? Yeah. I don't know if it was the news. So who is starting at quarterback? Is it going to be Foles
Nick
again?
Foles.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I continue to, I loved the Chargers last week, as you know. They were one of my top 5. You and
Me
I
too.
agreed on it. And
Yep. Me too.
I continue to like not believe how the market has reacted to this team. They're the worst team in the league. They suck. And I cannot believe people are betting on them, or that there's as much line value as, I mean, even the live lines, it was like, to me, watching that game, it was so obvious that Nick Foles was a horrible choice to put in at quarterback. And yet you could have bet on the Chargers at halftime -1. I mean, it was crazy. They cannot move the ball. They cannot do anything. They have a terrible coach. That was an awful decision to put him in. It's playing out exactly how every professional, analyst and coach thought it would. And I just can't. They're in my rankings here. They are at the absolute bottom, and the Giants are not. They're basically, hold on, like, their defense isn't great, but Indy's the worst team in the Jack DVOA ratings, the Jack Power rankings.
Yep.
The Giants are 17th. Okay, so they're just below. But Indy's by far the worst. I mean, they have the worst offense, the worst defense, the worst rush. I mean, the only thing they do well is stop the pass, which they're top 10 in, but the Giants don't throw the ball very well. They're going to be
No.
running it all
We have
day. So
Saquon, and they'll play action off it, and they'll use Slayton. It's funny. You and I are going to agree on this one too. I think anything under 7 is a steal for the Giants. But
yeah,
I guess the market doesn't trust the Giants
they
as a
don't.
big favorite in these games. Giants have been in a lot of close games. The games they win, they do not win generally by more than a touchdown. So I know Zach Moss has had some success running the ball for Indianapolis. I know they had a 33-0 lead in Minnesota in a game in which obviously Minnesota, their defense is trash. They're just not good. And
Yeah.
yet their offense was able to come back and beat the Colts. And I know they were competitive, even for 3 quarters with Matt Ryan at Dallas until I shut it off. And I think it was 20-19 when I went to sleep, and they let up 33 points in the fourth quarter. So something's not right there. I mean, clearly the conspiracy theory about hiring Saturday was that technically, they want to lose these games and get a top draft pick to get a quarterback. Maybe the kid out of Ohio State is the kid they want. You know what I'm saying? So they're doing what they can to maybe appear that they're trying, but at the end of the day, they want to lose these games. I mean, just ask a Jet fan, about a meaningless win at the end of the year. It cost them Trevor Lawrence 2 years ago.
I know,
So
but they're not,
I'm just saying,
there's other teams that are ahead of them that I think will get, that will also lose, especially because who they're playing, like the Bears and Houston. But they're not going to, even if they lose these 2 games on purpose, which I don't really see them doing.
They're not
I
capable of
still
winning these
think
games.
the market is overvaluing the Colts and undervaluing the Giants. And the
Maybe.
Giants, right? Giants are 8-6, 8-6-1. They have everything to play for in this game, and they had a heartbreaking loss to the Vikings. They're going to be focused. They're at home. They're
Yeah,
gonna.
the Giants are a very hard team to lay points with. Let me just say that. I mean,
Yeah.
they have no receivers, none. Steve Slayton barely made the team. He's their leading receiver. They got
Yeah.
a guy named Ricky James. When he takes his helmet off, he looks like a fucking clown jester. You ever see his fucking hair?
No.
If he painted his face, it would be more appropriate. Or put some sort of a fucking clown outfit.
Oh, God.
And
He can't catch.
half the time he catches the ball, he drops it. So Daniel Jones is doing this with smoke and mirrors. They do have Saquon, who's very, very good, obviously.
Yeah.
And I think they have some pieces on defense, even though they're not 100% healthy. I can't imagine the Giants losing this game. I have a number of large bets this week in Megabucks New York, money line parlays, and the Giants are in every one of them.
Wow.
So if the Giants lose this game,
why not just tease them though, instead of having to lay that kind of money?
I'm
so much better to do a 2-team teaser.
Because I don't want even money.
But
I don't want even money.
Yeah, but in a money line parlay, you have to lay.
Yeah, but I mean? but I'm also putting them with underdogs.
Okay.
To offset it.
Yeah.
So yeah. I'm getting handsomely paid out if these hit.
Mm-hmm.
By doing that.
Yeah.
And I'm also eliminating. I guess the teaser would do the same thing in terms of giving you the opportunity. The problem with the teasers for me is all it takes is one thing to go wrong.
Well, I'm just talking about value when you have 2 teams that you like. Yeah. And they're both favorites of let's just say 5, 6, 7-point favorites. Mm-hmm. And you build a money line parlay with those 2, what you have to lay versus just taking a 2-team teaser at even money. The teaser is the bet, clearly.
In that instance, if you only like 2 teams, yes. But if you like 3, 4, and 5 teams, and some of them are underdogs, that's a different story.
Well, then you have to build round robin teasers.
You don't offer round robin teasers.
No, you just build them individually instead of tying all those bets together.
Understood. But you don't offer them on Megabucks, the round robin, so we can't use them.
We don't do it in an automated way, but you can just build them one by one. That's all.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay, let's move on. We're on the same page this week.
We're on the Giants only because I can't see. I mean, listen.
Last week it was like one of us is going to do really well and one of us is not, because we did not agree on almost everything.
I think it's very hard to bet on Indianapolis here. I think Nick Foles looked horrible. And, we know what his nickname is, and I don't think it matters how big he is in the shower. I think what matters is he can't throw the ball.
Yeah. And just his time has passed. I mean, the fact that they even dragged him out, what was he doing before?
He looks worse than Flacco.
Yeah. That's you can't bring these old guys out. That was already 3 years ago when he played.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on. Same page there. At Arizona, Atlanta. What a meaningless game.
What a vomit fest.
Right? I mean, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. Who cares about this stupid game? Either
JJ Watt announced his retirement. I mean, listen, the guy is one of the greats in the history of the game at that position. You got to give the guy credit. I mean, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer who's played through a lot of injuries. And I believe he was the defensive player of the year 3 times. He's been an all-pro multiple times. I mean, he's a dominant player at his position. Tomlin was kind of upset that he announced the retirement because he wanted to sign him next year and put him with the other two Watts.
Yeah, and they're done with Tracy McSorley. You were laughing at him. They're going to give the ball to David Blau.
No, McCoy's playing. He's out of the concussion protocol.
No, it says he's out.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I thought as of yesterday it said that McCoy was playing.
No. This is December 30th. I'm looking at RotoWire. Concussion symptoms again. Won't play in Sunday's game in Atlanta with the Cardinals instead.
That's probably why the line jumped. It was 3.5. What is it now?
It is 5.5.
Yeah, that's why the line jumped. Okay. I'm still going to take Atlanta. I don't know
Really?
why. Yeah, Arizona is a dead team. They're a zombie team. They're very similar to Denver, zombie team. And this kid Ritter's trying to build a future for Atlanta. I mean, is he going to cover the number? Probably. I don't know, but I like what he's doing with Drake London. I like that combination. I like them at home. And I think they're a team that's trying to actually do something. And Arizona is a team that's trying to, book their flights for Cabo.
Yeah. Okay. So you take Atlanta.
Yep.
I'm taking Zona just because I think, like JJ Watt's going to be the Bobby Wagner of that team. And just like he won't let anyone quit and they're going to play for him. And he wants to finish strong and he'll get a few more sacks. And, I think, I don't know. Arizona has a little bit of fight left in them. And
I think they got a lot of guys out too.
Yeah, for me, this just comes down to one thing, and that is just like I don't think Atlanta should be laying this many points.
Of course, not to anybody.
Right.
But Arizona's got a lot of injuries. I don't think Connor's playing. I think the two linemen aren't playing. I mean, they got a lot of guys out.
Yeah,
they're done. Like they cashed out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a throwaway. It would never make it to my top 5.
Awful football game. The fact that it's even on is a disgrace to the NFL, but it is what it is.
And I'm glad we don't agree on it because I don't want to be like rooting for Atlanta to cover in this one.
Yep.
Okay. Next is Saints Eagles. Interesting game. I don't think the Saints have much to play for here, do they?
Yes, they do. They can win the South.
Oh, you're right. They're 6-9. Wow.
They beat you last week. I think they're a very live dog for me in this game. Yeah. Especially with Gardner Minshew playing. Demario Davis is a phenomenal linebacker, the leader of the team. Dalton showed me something last week with that little combo that he's got going with that fucking number 7 guy. He keeps coming in and running and doing, and Kamara played well. And the Saints defense is no joke, man. I mean, they're getting 6.5. Seems like a lot to me. I'm taking the 6.5 with the Saints.
Defense in the Jack Power rankings, they're ranked 4th.
Yeah, they're very good on defense. And I just think 6.5 against the backup quarterback, it's a lot. And Philly lost one of the best offensive linemen in the game, basically went down last week. He's absolutely not playing this week. He says he's putting off the surgery, but that doesn't mean he's playing this week. Jalen Hurts is not going to play. And 6.5 is an enormous number for a team that's, listen, if they win, I think if they win and Carolina wins, that's a meaningful game next week for them. They can win this thing.
Oh man, it's so hard for me to do this. I'm not going against Philly anymore. I'm going to take Philly. I just
took Philly last week and you lost.
Huh?
You took Philly last week and you lost. I had Dallas.
Well, I know, but I watched that game and I cannot believe to this day, I believe I was on the right side. I can't believe how bad Dallas's defense is right now. And they couldn't, and Mike McCarthy is so awful what he did at the end of that game. I cannot believe they won the game and covered. Like let's talk about this now.
It was great.
He was up by 3 in the red zone and decided to kick a field goal and give the ball back to Philly when they hadn't punted once the whole game. I don't give a shit if Minshew was in there. Dallas defense was terrible. He had a chance to put the game away and win by 10. And he decided to go up by 6 and give him the ball back with 1:50.
Yeah,
in the NFL.
Timeouts. You know why? Because I'll tell you why. Because a 6-point lead at home is better than a 3-point lead.
Of course it is.
But you don't get it.
No, but no shit. But nobody does that anymore, especially when you haven't stopped a team all day.
Stop the next drive.
Oh my God, I couldn't believe that.
And won and covered. I thought it was brilliant. I thought he did the right thing.
He
He
got
made it.
so
He
fucking
made
lucky
it.
that they
He made
stopped
it.
them.
He made it so that if you go for it and you don't get it, you give them the momentum back. Then all of a sudden, all they got to do is basically get to the 40. They have Jake Elliott's a good kicker. In Dallas, you can make a 60-yarder. I've seen it happen. So he played the percentages the right way. He said, you know what? If you're going to beat us, you're going to have to march down here with Mustache Man with no timeouts against our defense and our building and score a touchdown. And you're not going to do it. And I like what he did.
I totally disagree with that much. The fact that they had timeouts a minute 50 and they hadn't stopped them all day long. It was the dumbest looking fucking decision that I saw all day. And his dumb fucking face
God, I love it
to it. I was like, this dumb fat loser.
I love your passion. And you know what else I love the most about when that game ended? That cha-ching sound that my Venmo ringing when money was coming in.
That guy's going to fucking lose. They're not winning the NFC championship. He is a horrible coach.
They're not good enough. But by the way, they're not good enough to win the NFC championship. No way.
They should.
Their second receiver is not good.
They
do have a good tight end.
Should have backfired 9 out of 10 times. It was
awful. I got it. Listen, if Jalen Hurts is on the field and they get their linemen back, and that's a big if, Philadelphia should be the odds-on favorite to win the NFC. They've been the best team all year if they're healthy. They just are.
Yeah, and then let's get back to this game. So I like Philly. I think what they'll do here is build a big lead. They'll be up 20. They'll score 21 points and 20 or 28.
Really? Against the Saints defense?
Showed me last week. He showed everyone really that that it's not all about Hurts. That it's basically they have a great team
against the Saints defense. You think they're gonna the DVOA, the fourth best defense in your ranking? You think they're gonna go storm out to a 21-0 lead with Gardner Minshew as their quarterback?
I think they'll score.
I think you're wrong. I don't think that at all. I think that the Saints defense, if you didn't watch them last week against your team had every chance in a 0-degree day to win that game at home, and you still found a way to lose it because their defense outplayed your team. Now, I'm not comparing the Cleveland offense to Phillies.
Let's not talk about that. I just want to talk about Philly and what they're capable of doing. And they have the 7th best defense and the best rush offense, and they're 3rd overall. And it's just like, this is a whole different animal, Saints playing Philly, than it is them playing the Browns, has a broken offense. Like I'm not going to compare these two. They stopped us and it was 18 degrees or 14 degrees with 9, whatever the hell it was. I'm not looking at that as any kind of leading indicator for this game.
Let me ask you this. Can you see the Saints in any scenario winning this game and have Philly losing 2 in a row with Minshew?
No.
Okay. So that's why you're laying the points. I think the Saints can win the game.
Okay.
So I'm taking the 6.5.
Okay. I'm putting you in Saints, Philly, 6.5.
Yep.
Let's move on. Passionate discussion about those Saints. And
yeah, I love it. I mean, you really get fired up about Mike McCarthy. Woo.
Jesus. Thank God I'm not a Dallas fan, because he does it every week. I'm just like, I just can't even believe the shit. He looked like a Sunbelt coach at the end of that game. The look on his face, his not really understanding what was going on. And then the fact that he decided, like, yeah, Mr. Conservative, I'm going to go up by 6 against a team I haven't stopped once. They didn't punch all day.
Yeah. God, I love it. I love it.
Listen, Cleveland, Washington.
Oh,
this is interesting. Like, I kind of feel like this could, any outcome wouldn't surprise me in this game. Like, we could blow them out. Wentz, like, I'm kind of pissed we're not going against Heineke, because Wentz kind of like can be good when he first comes back.
No,
but I would never bet on them.
I'm going to tell you right now, I have Cleveland in a Wong +8. Mm-hmm. I have Cleveland in the money line in one of my parlays. Mm-hmm. When you say Carson Wentz, I say loss.
Yeah.
Period. Doesn't matter what else they're doing.
Yeah.
Washington had their chance 2 weeks in a row with Heineke, who was playing well all season.
Yeah.
To do what they needed to do to secure themselves a win. They lost to the Giants. They were not competitive in San Francisco. They were early and they let it get away from them. And now they're going, whenever you make this quarterback switch, and I know you could say, oh, we're going back to the number one guy off an injury. Nonsense. Wentz has been healthy and ready to go for weeks. This is a desperate move by Rivera. And Deshaun Watson has been horrible for the Browns. Abysmal. Okay. But I will say this. This is the kind of game. This is the kind of ugly game that the Browns can win.
Yeah. By the way, I totally felt that about last week's game, and you weren't watching it. I was actually I watched
I watched a lot of it on Red Zone, and I started watching it because I had the Saints and two Wongs, and it meant the world to me.
But Cleveland had every opportunity to win that game. We just couldn't catch the ball, and like it happened. There were more games than our game last week with that frigid temperature where people just couldn't catch. Like it even happened in the Steeler game.
Also fumbles.
Yeah, fumbles and missed catches where like Njoku couldn't catch.
Yep.
We were just dropping screen passes.
It's hard to fault guys in that weather when you can't feel your fingers, but that's everyone on the field can't feel their fingers, not just your guys. No, so somehow Kamara, Taysom Hill, whoever they were throwing it to, the tight end who had a nice game and had a touchdown, which I told you he would, Juwan Johnson. So he was able to catch the ball. So
what makes you think, like, I really believe our offense is broken. You just said it about Deshaun. Like, we need to go into the offseason and rethink how we're going to play offense and what and who's going to be on the team and like what we need to do in the draft. And it's just like, I just see this as a game where we're going to score 10 or 13 or 17 again. And I just don't know if that's enough. You think our defense is gonna make plays against Carson? That's what you think.
Carson Wentz, has the ability to literally hand you the ball and let you run it in. I've seen him do it. He throws it with his left hand. He throws it upside down.
Shuffle.
He gives it to the other team. I mean, he's going to be ice cold. Yeah. He hasn't played a game in months.
Yeah.
And Myles Garrett's on your team. And I'm telling you, it's not going to take much. No one's going to be really watching this game. I mean, I know it's big for Washington, and it really technically doesn't mean anything for Cleveland, which makes me even like Cleveland a little bit more here.
I hear you there because it frees you up. Like, wow, we're out of it.
Pressure's gone. And now maybe Watson actually just has the game that we've been waiting for Watson to have.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That wouldn't surprise me. That's what I was saying earlier. It wouldn't surprise me.
So I'm taking Cleveland with the 2. We're going to get 2.5, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to take Cleveland with the 2.5, and I have him in a Wong teaser with +8 in Megabucks and at Caesars.
I like it. Okay, I'm with you. Yeah, I'm not gonna bet on Washington. I'm disappointed in Cleveland still, but I would never. I agree with you. Like, I actually think we can win this game. And
Jack, you know what? What happened to Cleveland was they had some early season games with Brissett that they should have won and they lost. So that if you were in a position when Deshaun came back to be relevant and you weren't, you needed 1 or 2 more wins out of Brissett, and Watson would have stepped in and be like, wow, all we got to do is go 9-8.
It was all there for us. And like one of them was the Jets.
The Jet
game,
onside kick.
And then the other one was like Atlanta with the field goal.
Oh, you lost to Atlanta. Jesus
we lost, I think, a handful of games by less than a touchdown or 3. Like, it was, you're right. It was.
Well, this is what I'm nervous about as a Steeler fan.
What?
Is I think we're going to beat the Ravens this week, and we'll get to that in Baltimore. But we have you the last week of the year.
Yeah.
And the last thing I want to fucking deal with is Deshaun Watson just
ending your
being
season.
Deshaun Watson, just to be a disaster for us. I mean, it would be the worst way to go out.
Yeah.
I'm already
the last game.
I'm already nervous about it. You know what I'm saying? Even though you already beat us in our building.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. We lost to you in your building with Trubisky week 2. But that makes me so nervous. Deshaun Watson chasing him around the field, the magic that he's capable of pulling off, and Myles Garrett coming after Pickett. I mean, it's just scary. It's a scary spot for us. I'm obviously looking down the line. If we lose to Baltimore, it won't matter. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But and I think Vegas thinks that we're going to be competitive because that line's come off 3, which is
Mm-hmm.
interesting. It's down to 2.5, which I find very interesting. I know Lamar's not playing. We'll talk about it when we get to it.
Yeah,
That's
let's
the night game.
go. Let's move on to Chicago and
Yeah, because
Detroit.
they flexed us
Okay. Oh, for Sunday?
Sunday night. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. Okay. Chicago, Detroit. Um, I
Jack.
we can make this quick. I just think there's good value in the Lions here. They're a much better team. The Bears have incentive to lose relative to the draft. And I think that again, Detroit just finally hit a wall last week. They're such a good team, and they finally just ran out of gas on the road last week against Carolina. And I think like they're gonna bounce back.
What are
And
they laying?
6.
It's 6.5 for us.
Yeah. So no, let's say 5.5 because it just got to 6 and it's been 5 and 5.5 all week.
Was it?
Yeah.
They were never laying 7.
No, it opened at 6.5. It jumped to 5. Like there must have been some injury stuff, but yeah, they were awful last week, and
Five and a half for us is a gift. I will say this:
I think the
Chicago's running the
market's
ball.
overreacting to that loss. That's all.
Let me just say this: Chicago is running the ball really well.
Mm,
They got Herbert back off the injury. It's going to be him, and it's going to be Montgomery, and it's going to be Fields. 3-headed monster. Do you know how many yards on the ground Detroit let up last week? Do you want to take a guess at the number of yards they let up to Carolina last week?
no, I don't care. But go ahead, tell me.
320.
Yeah, I mean they get again. They just mailed it in.
Jack,
By the way, the Bears are ranked are in the Jack rankings are 23rd. Their rush offense. So I don't know when have they
that's because
been.
Herbert's been bad and Montgomery has been hurt. But these guys are all playing this week. And I will say this: I have no I like Detroit. I have been on Detroit literally all year. I
Uh-huh.
think since the turnaround with Campbell, and they laid an egg last week, and that line told me they were going to lay an egg. My inclination with you is if it's 5.5, I'm going to take the Lions as well and agree with you because they are a better team. And also the trends really like Chicago here, and the trends have been dead wrong. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the underdog is 6-1 in the last 7 in this matchup against the spread.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the first game was a 31-30 win by Detroit that they barely squeaked out. If you remember, Akuda had the pick 6
Yeah.
that Justin threw that game away.
Yeah.
So I like Detroit to really show up on defense here at home.
Yeah.
And I think they'll outscore them. They'll score like 27 or 30 and they'll let up like 10. So
Mm-hmm.
I would take in this instance, I like Detroit in the under.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, we're aligned. I think like
Totally.
I don't want to overstate
Is
or
that our
like
fourth game that we like together?
I like Justin Fields. Don't get me wrong, but I just think it's in this division game with how meaningful this game is to the Lions, which
God, I
I mean
love
their
Detroit.
record is 7-8. They're still very much
Jack,
alive to get that
I
last wild card right.
totally agree with you. This is such a good spot for Detroit to
Yeah.
pound Chicago at home.
Yeah.
It really is. It's a spot for them to play at home in front of their home fans. They've been a great team. They're on a great run. There's a lot to be excited about. They have the potential to make the playoffs. They're playing a fucking rival that they hate.
Yeah.
And they should
that has historically beat up on them.
And they should step on them. They should absolutely take advantage of them this week. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to have a big game.
Yep.
Douglas taught me how to say his name finally.
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Correct. You have to pause and you have to say it slow. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Correct. I finally learned. It's in the pace of how you say it.
And say it slow. It's so fun.
You have to pause and say it slow.
Amon-Ra. All right. Let's move on. Miami, New England. Whew.
So this line is Tua not playing. It's Teddy Bridgewater, right?
That's right. It's 2.5.
Okay. And this line was 3 all week.
Not
and
really.
Now
it's been 2. I had 2.5. The only time it got to 3 was like briefly yesterday on the 28th, but it was 1.5. It was 2.5. It's been 2.5. consistently.
This is a game you have to put Miami in a Wong teaser here. You have to tease them up to 8.5. They're going to be in the game. It's not like New England is blowing anybody out. Okay. New England's faltering. They
Yeah,
fumbled again, fucking on the 3-yard line last week against Cincinnati after an amazing second half comeback. And
yeah,
the Ramon Stevenson, the ball got punched out when they're going in. They lose by 4. I'm getting 3.5. You can't make it up. Okay. And they're inside the fucking 10-yard line to win the
yeah.
game.
And Stevenson's he's been laying a bit like the week before. He was the one who started I mean, it wasn't him. He's
It
the one,
wasn't
but he
him. It
did
was
he did throw it to Jacoby Myers.
yeah, because he thought Myers might have the sideline, and he
Right, but
didn't have it.
he did pitch the ball. That was a poor decision.
No, it wasn't. The poor decision was Jacoby Myers throwing it 30 yards backwards to Mac Jones, and then
Yeah.
getting dirted by Chandler Jones. But listen, I'm gonna say this. I think New England will win this game at home. I think they'll win it by 3 or
Wow.
4.
Oh, really?
So I like this is one of those rare games. It's very similar to the way I felt about the Saints last week, although the Browns didn't get it done. I thought the Browns would win by 3 and the Saints would cover in the Wong. I kind of feel that way about this game. I think Miami will be very competitive in this game. They're not intimidated to go to Foxborough. You know, they know Miami well. I mean, New England well, and they're going to play hard. I mean, Teddy is competent as a quarterback. They're not going to feel like, oh, we have no chance because we have Teddy Bridgewater playing. That's not how Miami's going to feel about this. Teddy has done some really good things in his career, so he's capable of winning the game. Wouldn't shock me if Miami won it, but I'm definitely taking. I'm going to take New England minus the 2.5, but I'm going to take Miami plus 8.5 in a couple Wong teasers.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not. I'm gonna take Miami. I
you like them to win.
Yeah, I like Teddy. I think they'll cover. I think they can win this game. And they've lost 3 straight games, and I think like
And New England's lost 2, right?
yeah, but I just
Raiders and
yes.
Cincy, right?
And when you look at what
Both teams are spiraling right now.
yeah, they really are.
God, this is such a close game. This is going to be now. Let me ask you this: if the
But
Jets,
I think this is like the nail in the coffin for the Patriots. Whereas, like, I think Teddy's capable, and more importantly, he's got Waddle and Tyreek Hill out there, and it's like all he has to do is get them the ball. And like New England's offense is so bad, Mac is so mediocre at best, and he's arguably bad also.
all right,
I don't think they
me,
can
you know
win this
what?
game. I think
Give
it's
me.
by the way, I think it's a dead under.
I'm gonna take Miami with you. You just convinced me because Waddle and Tyreek Hill
Just
and
throw it to him. Just get it to him. You don't have reverses, read that.
Mac Jones has not been great, and New England is weirdly finding ways to lose, which is really bizarre. Like it's
I
like,
know.
are we in
And
the Twilight Zone?
Yeah, and remember, Miami's defense looks so good against Buffalo. I just think they're going to come in here and kind of like have their way with New England's offense. And like again, Teddy doesn't have to do much except get these 2 guys the ball.
They still have Mostert too, who, in a pinch, if you got to hand it off to Mostert and Jeff Wilson, that's not the end of the world. But Miami doesn't really run it that well. But I do see it being a close game. If we're going to get the 2.5, I'll take it. I think I'm going to go with you on that because I know I'm taking them plus 8.5.
Yeah.
So in this instance, maybe they are like the Saints last week. Maybe they just go in there and win the game outright.
Yeah. I mean,
I like that.
Who
put that in there together?
Who won the first game? Did they win the game in Miami early in the season?
Don't remember.
Off
the top of my head, I do not remember.
Okay, let's move on.
Which is strange because I normally remember a lot of that stuff. That game is a blank to me. They must have played early in the year. Like it's a big disadvantage for New England to go there in the hot weather. Just one more thing about that. What I think is interesting about that is this, and here's the scenario I'm going to paint for you. You ready?
Yeah.
Miami beats New England. The Jets beat Seattle. And then the division is on. I mean, the wild card spot next week is on the line. Jets have to go to Miami to finish the season.
Wow.
Where literally every single Jet fan from Long Island will be in Miami.
Yeah, yeah, it's so true.
Am I right?
You are, and okay, but it was 20-7, by the way. That game was on September 11th. That was the
And
first game of
Miami
the
won
year.
it.
First game of the year. Miami won.
Miami. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
Okay. And yeah, and then New England beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh week 2. It's like I knew they would. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's so much bad blood in this game. They just hate the Patriots so much from all those Brady years.
Yeah.
Um, I think
Would-
that I
It
like
wouldn't
the two and a
surprise
half.
me.
And to your point, like earlier, I actually could see them losing this game and covering. It's that kind of game, you know.
Totally.
Okay.
Let's
So
take the
we're on
two
the
and a
same
half.
page there. Let's move on.
Wow. That's 5 for us together, I think, or 4.
Crazy. Jacksonville,
5.
Houston.
Let's stay on them, Jack. Let's stay with Houston. They've been playing very good football. We're at home. The line went from 5 to 3.5. Let's
I
take
know.
the 3.5 at home. Jaguars are already looking forward to next week against Tennessee. Come on. Tennessee didn't play half their fucking team last night because they know that the only game that matters is next week. Jaguars are going to be the same way. Houston is
Why?
going to be.
Because it doesn't. Because
It doesn't
basically,
affect. The only thing that matters to them is next week.
because they. Well, no, they can't lose this game, Cello. They can't be 7-9 going into this game.
Jacksonville?
Yeah.
Why? What's Tennessee's record?
Uh. Well, I'm just saying, Jacksonville is 7-8. They have to win this game.
I'm asking you what Tennessee's record is.
Tennessee's record is 7-9.
Thank you. So Jacksonville can lose this game and will. I'm taking Houston plus three and
No
a half.
way.
Houston is playing really good football right now. Their DOA on defense is top 5. Mills is hitting people. Brandon Cooks is back. This is a division game, and the line has come down from 5.5 to 3.5. Something is happening here that you don't want to admit is happening, and I'm going to take.
Here's what
I'm
I'm
taking the
afraid of.
Texans.
Here's what I'm afraid of, and you and I have seen this happen a lot, which is teams start playing well, and then they peak and they win that first game. They finally won a football game. They beat Tennessee. And now they're happy and complacent, and the air has come out of the
nothing
balloon.
to be happy about. They've won 2 games all year. They're not happy. What they're saying is, wow, finally, maybe we've turned the corner here. Let's keep doing what we're doing.
I hear you, and you don't think having the number 1 draft pick locked up means anything?
I'm taking the 3.5 points at home, is what I'm telling you. Give me the 3.5 at home. Thank you.
I'm not. I'm going Jags. I think it's going to be what I just said, which is Houston's going to regress to who they've been most of the season because they finally got that win. And
okay, I don't think so.
And I also am doing it because Jacksonville has just been playing so well. Like I really
think
they're the better team and they're going to win the South.
They could easily be the better team. They could easily win the game by 3. I'm getting 3.5. The extra half is meaningful to me. I want that half. I'm taking Houston plus 3.5.
It's a lot of points. I'm not disagreeing there, but I'm going to lay it.
It's a division game that everyone knows in the world of football that the Tennessee-Jacksonville game next week is everything that matters. They are not prepared for Houston. It would not surprise me if Houston wins the game. Houston has been playing very good football the last 3 weeks. They should have beaten Dallas. They should have beaten Dallas. They should have beaten Kansas City. They should have beaten Kansas City, and they beat Tennessee.
Yeah.
Which is not great, but that was with Derrick Henry. Different than last night. Houston is a live dog in this game.
Yeah, they're overall, they're 16th and Jacksonville is 7th in the overall. But man, I just think their defense, like Houston's, I just don't think they're going to be able to score.
We might actually Venmo this game. I'm going to take the 3.5 with Houston.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. We'll talk about it on Sunday. But give me the Houston. Give me Houston. You have Jacksonville. The line's 3.5. Good luck.
Okay. Jets, Seattle.
Love. And wow, this is scary.
This crossed over. Now the Jets are favored.
Let me just do this. Did you hear that? That's me smacking myself in the face.
Why?
Because I love the Jets.
Oh my God.
I need to punch myself again in the face.
I do too. That's the crazy thing.
I really like the Jets in this spot with Mike White. I think Seattle has been dog shit on defense. Seattle is so bad. You have the numbers in front of you more than me, but Seattle's defense to me is 29th in the NFL. They're letting up 26 points a game.
They're
Mike
the
White,
yeah, they're ranked 28th here in my power rankings.
right?
Their
Mike,
defense.
the Jets offense under Mike White's literally puts up 400 yards a game in the 3 games he's played.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that Mike White is Joe Montana. What I'm saying is that the Jet defense is good enough to go into Seattle, this is not like going into Seattle in the old days where Seattle was good. Seattle sucks and they're not good at home. I think what are they at home this year? Not good. Their record is not good. They're 3-6, maybe, or I thought they were 1-6, but I think they have maybe a couple more wins than that.
Yeah.
They have a losing record at home. Seattle has a losing record at home, and this is a must-win for the Jets. I think they've been dying to get Mike White back on the field.
They're
They
3-4
Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
Hate Zach Wilson. I think Garrett Wilson has a huge game. I think the Jet defense turns Geno over a few times. Sauce has a big game. I like the Jets. I like the Jets on the money line, and I like the Jets to win the game. And I'll probably be dead wrong. And I'm sorry to my Jet fans out there that listen to this podcast, because I know they're very unhappy with the fact that I like the Jets, because I have been as cold as I've been in straight picks. But I don't see the Jets losing this game. I think they win this game. I think they go to Miami next week for the matchup of all matchups, which is Jets Miami for the wild card spot. And they're going to need to beat Miami. And I think for Cello, this is how this works. Steelers beat the Ravens. Miami loses to the Jets next week. And the Steelers beats the Browns, and we get the 7 seed.
Oh my God.
And that's
by
how
the
that
way,
works.
On this game, are you going to put Seattle in your Wong teasers?
No, I don't. I don't believe in the home teams with the Wongs. I only do road. I do road underdogs. I don't like homes.
Yeah.
Doesn't work as well for me, in my opinion, with the home teams.
Okay.
In my experience,
well, I'm with you on the Jets for everything.
Nice, Jack.
Said. Yeah, I agree. I'm like, there's something about Mike White and this team in the locker room, and they love him.
Yep.
And the Zach Wilson experiment is over.
Yep.
And it's sort of like they played so well with him. Now, it doesn't change the fact that their offensive line sucks and he's going to get his ass hit again.
It doesn't suck. It's just that they're injured. Becton has been out all year, and Vera Tucker's been out. They're missing the entire left side. They're missing the left side of their line.
I know, but that's so he's going to feel pressure and he's going to get knocked down. And I know he's tough as hell and they love him for that. But I think that their defense is going to be the key in this game. And I think they'll show up in a big way. And, look, Geno had a great little run there in the middle of the season, but we both know what's been happening lately. And like, they're not ranked well in my like little power rankings here. They're ranked, they slipped all the way down to 21st.
I got to tell you, Jack,
they were a top 5 team there in the middle of the season.
I got to tell you, you want to know when it turned?
The Rams game or
nope. When Geno Smith's season turned, you want to know when it was?
Yeah, when
he took the sack and fumbled on the 5-yard line in London.
Oh, against Tampa?
Yep.
Yeah, I remember
They have never recovered from that game.
Oh, God. You know what? That's a good point.
Yep. I'm telling you, they have not recovered. He has careened. Their defense has fallen apart.
Yeah. Well, that's, I think, a bigger story, that the defense was playing really well and they suddenly like regressed.
I felt like in a way early in the year, they were playing with a little smoke and mirrors, but Geno was playing very well. Geno at some point was being talked about as potential comeback player of the year. I think you got to give that to Saquon. I've been saying that all year. The guy, he was out all last year with the knee. I mean, to me, Saquon's the best player. He's the comeback player of the year without question. Yeah. In my opinion, and he has been all year. And I think Jalen Hurts is the MVP. And that's the way I felt about that all year. But I know there's going to be a big push for Mahomes. I know the league loves Mahomes, and they kind of don't like Jalen. It's weird. Jalen's got this weird thing about him. I don't know if it's a Philly thing or the fact that he got replaced in Alabama or whatever it is, but he's underappreciated, I think, for what he's done. I mean, it's a different discussion. For the discussion of this game, I'll say this: Seattle is really, really bad. I think they're the worst in the league against tight ends, and the Jets have two good tight ends,
Mm-hmm.
right? They have Conklin and they have Azuma. So
Yeah.
it will not surprise me. And Mike White likes to throw to the tight ends. What quarterback doesn't love their tight end? It's like a safety blanket.
Yeah.
So in this case, if these guys are going to be open, he's going to use these guys when Garrett Wilson's doubled and when he doesn't have the check down. These guys are going to get in the end zone. I really, and this has always been a problem for me. When I really like the Jets like this, it's not good. They don't, but I just don't see them laying an egg in this game. I think they're going to be very motivated to win this game. I think they're so excited that Mike White is back that the defense is literally going to dominate Seattle.
Yeah.
And Lockett's out.
Yeah, I was just looking.
Lockett's
Actually,
hurt.
they're sort of banged up. I mean, Walker
Lock,
questionable, Homer questionable, Lockett
Lockett's
questionable.
out. It's Metcalf. You just got to. It's Sauce will take care of Metcalf.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the Jets. We're both on the Jets. Wow, it's 6 games you both like.
He
It's
just, by the
unbelievable.
way, Chell, he plans on playing. He acknowledged Friday that the final decision will be made by the coaches, but he plans on playing. Just
Tyler
so you know.
Lockett.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's not himself. I mean, he's really hurt.
Yeah.
He has an injury. He's not. It's one thing to be hurt. It's another thing to be injured. He's injured.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to give it a go and do the best he can, but he's not going to be the Tyler Lockett that you know that he is. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. All right. We're both on the Jets. Let's move on. Man, we're on a lot of games
Yep.
together. We're
We've been
on
good together. By the way, our percentage together is like 67%.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the 7th game this week.
It's a lot of
Okay,
games.
let's move on to none other than 49ers Raiders. Oh,
Really?
poor Derek Carr.
God, I don't like this decision by Josh. I think Josh McDaniels is a spoiled little fucking loser. You know, he reminds me of. Do you remember last year on social media that little fucking guy on Long Island? He was yelling at the girl in the bagel store, and they put like those candy canes on his fucking ears. That's
I do remember that, and he just
you remember
outed.
that? That reminds me of Josh McDaniels, man. He looks just like him. And I think the guy's a clown. And I mean, San Francisco's going to bury them. Stidham, come on. I'm not. Why are we even talking about this?
It's a
What are
lot
we
of
laying?
points. It's 10.
What are we laying? 9.5. It's 9.5. I saw.
Well, at Wana, it's 10. Man, it went from 4.5 to 10.
Let's make it 9.5. That's fair. And I'll tell you, I'm gonna lay the 9.5. This is not close.
Really.
I'm sorry. Stidham, this team, when you make a decision like that, unless maybe you think the locker room doesn't like Derek Carr, and maybe Josh is reading it like, wow, let's give Stidham a chance. And
no,
man,
this is nothing but a trade equity move, right? I mean, that's you bench a guy because you're planning on trading him. And
well, Stidham was with Josh in New England, like
no,
Josh
I'm just saying
McDaniel
with
likes
Carr,
Stidham.
Carr's numbers over a 10-year period are very good, and he's got a lot of people interested in him, and you do not want him getting hurt. And he'll go out there, you know him. He'll go out and play hard these 2 games if you let him. And he could potentially get hurt, and they want trade equity, and they don't want that to happen.
I think that's probably true. And I think I'll tell you this. I know the Jets. I'll tell you this right now. And this is so unbelievable funny because when you listen to the radio every day, like I do in this fucking town with these Jet fans, they're incessant the way they call in. It's unbelievable. Every fucking one of them. Some of them, you can barely understand what they're saying. They're hammered. It's 10 in the morning. They're already drinking. But the one guy called in today, and suddenly, let me tell you, a lot of them are on this Mike White bandwagon thing. And I kind of understand it because they do play better with Mike White. But like, is Mike White going to win a Super Bowl ever for the Jets? Like, is that something that you could see in your mind?
Well, I don't.
You visualize Mike White leading the Jets to the Super Bowl?
Here's what I think about that. Like, and I heard something similar today on the way back from the golf course. If he wins this game,
yes,
next week's game, because of his arm, and they win by 21 and they win by 17 because
what about if they just win?
No, because Mike White lit it up, then maybe. But if we don't see that, and maybe even if he does, I could see them going out and trying to get Lamar Jackson or Derek Carr or I don't know who else is going to be a free agent after this year, but basically I could see the Jets trying to
Jimmy
make a move.
Garoppolo, Derek. To
Yeah,
me,
Jimmy,
my
like
point is
one
this.
of those three, because they're available, they may try, whether he does it or not. But if he plays really well, they may be thinking, maybe we'll just draft somebody, and try to and let Mike
Honestly,
White
I
have the
don't,
ball
first of
next
all,
year.
they're not going to be high up enough to get a real quarterback in this draft. Number two, I think this is what Jet fans are hoping for. I think, and I'm not a Jet fan, but what my understanding is of what most Jet fans is hoping for is that Mike White wins this game in Seattle. No matter how he wins it, it doesn't even matter if he wins the game. There's a lot of games that Ben Roethlisberger won his first year with the Steelers. He had nothing to do with winning. He
Mm-hmm.
handed the ball off. He didn't turn it over. The defense won the game. Bettis ran, and they won the game. And you know what? They went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
So you can do that to a certain extent if you get a quarterback who every now and then makes a play for you, moves the chains, and doesn't turn it over, doesn't do anything stupid, throws it away when he's supposed to. I mean, there's a lot to be said for that.
yeah.
You know, and a guy like Zach Wilson is not that guy,
Mm-hmm.
right? But if Mike White is that guy, and that's what I'm disagreeing with you, like he doesn't need to necessarily light it up. He needs to do enough to win.
Yep.
The Jet defense needs a guy on the other side that's not going to fuck them over.
No,
Put him in a
I
short
look. I
field
don't disagree with you. If
and
he
give
does
them
like,
all these quick change opportunities where they just sat down for water and now they're back on the field because Zach Wilson fucking coughed it up again. They don't. The Jets defense doesn't want that. They
right.
need a guy that's going to just play the game the right way. It's okay to punt. Don't turn it over.
Yeah.
Yes, we want you to do well on offense and throw it to Garrett Wilson and score some points. We're okay with it. If you score 21
Yeah.
points a
Yeah.
game,
No, I
there's
know.
probably the Jet defense probably thinks that they can win every game if the offense scored 21 to 24 points. I'm sure Sauce Gardner thinks he can win every single game.
Yeah. That comment about make the easy look easy
Yes.
was really kind of a slap in the face to Zach, because what you're saying, I agree with, is just sort of like just do the things that you need to do to win the game.
Right. Exactly. So I know the Jet fans want Mike White to be good. And I think I agree with you. If he wins the next two games and the Jets go to the playoffs, or even if it doesn't even fall their way, maybe, because mathematically it could not fall their way. Maybe they don't get in. Maybe they win the two games and they don't get in. The point is, if you're the Jets, do you spend the money on Derek Carr next year? Because I think Derek Carr is the best guys out there. He would be very good on the Jets. I mean, imagine Derek Carr to Garrett Wilson and these tight ends. And I mean, I think they'd be very good on offense. They're going to get the running back and all this stuff. How old is Derek Carr? He's not old, right?
Yeah, 33, maybe
Oh, is
34.
he that old?
Well, he's been in the league 10 years. I got to figure he's 20, 32,
All right,
33.
maybe I'm wrong. I didn't realize he was that old. I thought maybe he was a little younger than that, but okay. I mean, listen,
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Packers Vikings.
I love the Green Bay. I love them on the money line. I don't know if they'll cover. I think they will.
You know
I
where
think
they are in the power rankings now?
I don't care. This is what I think. I think
Number
that Minnesota's
4.
defense is dog shit.
4th.
I think they give up that Minnesota has let up 31 points a game in the last 7 games, which is the worst in the league. They've let up over 400 yards a game total offense against, which is the worst in the league. Aaron Rodgers is amazing at home in December and January. He's won 9 in a row. They're 27-4, I think, in his last 31 games at home. He's only thrown 2 picks in that time and 20 interceptions. I think they're running the ball well with Jones and Dobbins. I do not see a scenario where Minnesota wins this game.
Would you lay 3.5?
I love Green Bay in this game. I have them in every money line bet. And I would lay the I think the line should be 2.5, honestly. They're playing a team that has a much better record than them. So if the line is really 3, we need to make it 2.5 in this league, in this thing that we do, because they're playing a 12-3 team.
Yeah. Well, I'm making it. Well, I have it at 3.5 with DraftKings.
The line's 3 in megabucks.
No, I know. So you think we should? Okay, fine. I mean, it doesn't matter, but I'll do it 2.5. But anyway, I'm with you. For everything that you just said, I totally agree. And I don't think last week you and I I've been tracking these guys, and I don't think people realize how well they're playing. And that's why we liked him against Miami. But I like him for all the same reasons again this week. And I think, Minnesota's overrated. And they, it is amazing that they do the exact same thing every week, which is barely win. But I think the buck stops here with all of that. And it's like time for them to finally lose a game, and they could lose badly the way they lost to Dallas. Like they could get absolutely blown out.
I don't think it'll matter to them because I think they're locked in. They know what they are, who they're going to play. They're going to have a home game no matter
And
what.
that's the other thing is they
Yeah.
don't really have much incentive.
I love Green Bay in this game. I'd be stunned, and I mean stunned, if Green Bay lost this game.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers in December at home against a division opponent, he lives for this shit.
Who doesn't need to win?
He lives for this. Do you
Yeah.
understand? He is so. By the way, Aaron Rodgers not only is thinking about winning this game, he's thinking about not losing a game until the NFC Championship game
I
when
know.
he's going to play wherever he's going to play. And by the way, they're plus last week, they were 180-1 to win the Super Bowl before the game.
I told you. Remember when I said you should get some Packers
No,
futures just to win
I'm
the
a,
NFC?
I'm a
That
week
probably was
late.
40-1.
I'm a week late. I just locked him in at 30-1 to win the NFC.
Okay. And they still need help and some things to happen, but I still think it's a
They're
great
not
game.
even guaranteed a spot. Obviously, if they lose this game at home, they're done. If Jefferson shows up and lights them up, I just don't see it. I think Green Bay's defense is playing very well lately. They forced 8 turnovers in the last few games during the winning streak. They're getting, the kid Jack, what's his name? The number 7 is playing out of his mind. The draft pick from Georgia is getting
Yep.
to the quarterback every game, multiple times, and they're playing better on defense. And you know what? When you're in Lambeau, it's cold. It's a big home field advantage. Minnesota's defense sucks. I
Yep.
mean, sucks. They're not going to win shit.
All right,
I will
let's
be.
move on to the
Yep.
next game, which is Chargers Rams.
Wow. Wow. Baker.
Baker.
Where is this game?
It's in LA. Well, they both are in LA. It's Chargers home game. Wait,
So
wait a
it's
second. They're
it's the
both
same.
it's the same
They both
stadium.
they both play there.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a weird thing.
They're both at home.
So it's like
And,
Giants Jets.
and they're both on the road.
It's interesting. Giants Jets. It's very similar. So they
The
share the
Chargers
stadium.
it is a home game for them.
So the
So
Chargers get a home locker room.
the home locker room and the home jersey
But everybody sleeps in their own beds. Like there's no travel.
right.
Very interesting game. What's the line here?
6.5.
Damn. Do the Chargers are they guaranteed they clinched last week?
Yes, I'm just looking at where they're ranked here. Oh my God, they're back to back over the last month, 11 and 12.
I'm going to take the Rams plus the 6.5. I think it's too many. I think it's a high scoring game. I think Baker will put up points. I think it's a shootout type game, but I think the Chargers will win. I just don't think they'll win that by that many. I mean, I don't see the incentive for them to try and win by that many.
Well, wait a second. Do they have the wild card locked up?
I think they clinched a playoff spot last week with their win. Aren't they 9 and
They have one of the wild cards at 9 and 6.
I think so. I think they're locked in no matter what.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's tough.
I'm with you. I think it's too many.
Me too.
And I think it's like it's an interesting rivalry, kind of like, and the way the Rams have been playing lately, it's kind of like they've found something with Baker here. I don't think they're going to score 51 points, but Denver's defense is better than the Chargers. And
Not
I
last
don't know,
week.
maybe something's working.
What do you think they slipped in their tea in the hotel, Denver's defense last week?
God.
Man. Were they out all night with like Gerard and Beckerman in LA, like Malibu and shit? What were they doing?
Wow. I can't believe how many games we agree on. All right. That brings us to the final game of the day.
Yeah.
Your Pittsburgh Steelers getting 2.5 on the road. This is my favorite game. The Ravens.
God, I love this. I love this game so much every year. I know you love it too. The physicality, the rivalry, everything about it, the nip and tuck, the stuff that goes on. It's, they beat us. They beat us in our building in a game, regrettably, where Trubisky threw three of the worst interceptions you'll ever see a quarterback throw, and he
Yeah.
hasn't seen the field since. Um, but I think we're going to win this game. I know I'm biased, but I think the Steelers know. I don't know if they're going to draw any more energy from the Franco Harris thing. I don't think it can hurt them. I think they're playing for, they realize the history of the franchise and the depth of the greatness of the franchise, et cetera. And again, it's Huntley, it's not Lamar. So that's a big advantage for us, no matter how you slice it. I think our defense is playing better. Um, it's a tough night for Najee that Baltimore stops the run. I mean, they're very good against the run, but I think we make just enough plays, and maybe Boswell finally beats Tucker in one of these games instead of Tucker beating Boswell.
Yeah.
And I think we sneak out of there. I don't know what the score is going to be. I have no idea if it's going to be high or low scoring. I don't really care. I just think we're going to do enough to get the win. I have us on the money line in a bunch of plays, and I have us in some Wong teasers plus 8.5.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Uh, I just, for me, it's coming down to I think Baltimore is the better team. Um, but Lamar is such a key part of that. I'm just wondering if they can do it without him. And I think they can.
They've been squeaking by in some of these games without him. They squeaked by our game 16-14. They barely
Yeah.
beat Denver 11-10, I think it was, or something stupid there. They
Yeah, and I
haven't.
just think I hate to say it, but it's always a field goal game, or often a field goal game. And I think with Tucker in his own building in a game with the opportunity to basically knock you guys out, um, I think they'll end up doing it. I think you had your moment last week at home with the Franco thing, and I was so sure you were going to win that game. I said it on the podcast.
What a comeback win. What a fourth
So
quarter
great,
performance
so
by
great.
Pickett. That last drive was something else. I think he's going to use that last drive and build off it. I think this is a huge moment for him and Pickens and these young guys in much the same way where it was with Ben and Hines Ward and these guys to go into Baltimore and win a game, a meaningful game in front of their fans and do it.
Yeah,
And I think they're going to be able to do it. I think they're good enough to do it. I think the fact that Lamar Jackson is not playing is a huge advantage for us, that Baltimore can say, oh, well, we didn't have Lamar. Yeah, we lost, but we didn't have Lamar. And I like us getting the points. I like us on the money line, and I like us getting the points. I think it's going to be close. Take the 8.5 in a Wong to the bank.
okay. I'm on Baltimore. I think it's too much to ask for you guys to go in there and do this with your young QB. He'll learn a lot from this game, but this is not the game that he's gonna go and win. Uh, he's at the beginning of probably a very long career, and he's showed promise, but he has definitely struggled, and I don't think he's up for something like this with this crowd, and this defense. I think it's gonna be a long night for our boy Pickett.
I think he's ready.
Okay.
I think he's gonna surprise you.
We shall see. So you're getting 2.5. I'm laying, and
Correct.
that is the end of the Sunday card. Do you want to do the Monday night game just because we may not do the pod on Monday?
What is the Monday night game? It's Bills at Cincinnati, right?
Yeah.
Wow, what a
Um,
game.
yeah. Bills are laying 1 now. This is been hovering around 0 all week.
Hmm.
They can still lose this game and retain home field, right? The Buffalo. I just
I
want to
think
make sure because I
I think
don't.
it's dangerous for them. No, they lost to Kansas City, didn't they? Or did they beat Kansas City? Who has the tiebreaker?
They beat up Kansas City in the first game of the year. Remember that?
So they can lose this game. Cincinnati obviously has been playing amazing football. I thought they got lucky last week to get out of New England with a win, but you know what? When you punch the ball out, you punch the ball out. I mean, you got to give the guy credit for that.
Yeah,
So Cincinnati's playing great. They have all their receivers. Is Mixon back? I'm assuming Mixon's back with P. Ryan, the two of them.
I believe so. Let me just confirm that. Cincy. Yeah, Mixon and P Ryan both.
God, home dog on Monday night, huh? Mm.
Yeah, this
I
is
mean,
got
listen, I have
you
the
gotta love this in your Wongs.
no, I don't love home teams. Again, I told you that I don't like the road teams, but I will say this. I have had a bet since last before during the baseball season of the bet of the Bills to win the Super Bowl. So I don't know. I don't think this game is indicative of that. I don't think I necessarily have to pick with the Bills every week in order for them to win the Super Bowl, but I do think the Bills will win the Super Bowl this year. I still believe that.
Hmm.
But I don't know at home. Ah, man, this is a tough order for them. Um,
It's such
hmm.
a great game.
I'm
It's
curious of your thoughts. I think I'm going to take Cincinnati here. I just think I like a home dog at a Monday night, even though it would have been better getting 2.5. I mean, we're going to get 1.5, right?
yeah, we'll say 1.5 Buffalo.
That's fair because it was higher initially. I think I'm going to take Cincinnati here. I just think they're doing a lot of things right and they're really on a streak. And it wouldn't, Buffalo's on the road and it's a road game. I mean, I'm going to take Cincinnati. I think it's a coin flip game. I would, if you have to bet a lot of money in this game, I feel bad for you because how the hell can you handicap this game? Either team
Yeah.
can win.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Buffalo. It's a
Okay.
coin toss. I think they're the better team,
Okay.
and I think they're just focused on one thing and one thing only, and like at all costs, do not lose this home field advantage because it's so critical for them and their Super Bowl run.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know. I just think their level of play is higher. Their competition has been better over the last month. I mean, since he's clearly hot, don't get me wrong, but they could have easily lost the game to the Patriots last week also.
Yep.
And I don't think the Patriots are very good. So I'm going to take Buffalo.
Okay.
And that brings our week 17 preview picks and analysis podcast to a close.
I will say this to our viewers: the picks that we've liked together all year have been running at almost a 70% clip. So I
Well,
would
I'll
pay.
tell you, basically I tallied it up where there were 25 and 16.
It's very good. I mean, we're 9 over 500 on the games that we like together. This week
25 divided by
we like seven, right?
25 divided by 41 is 60%. Yeah, 60.9, 61.
Yeah.
Solid.
We're 25 and 16.
Yeah.
All right. So why don't you run through one more time the 7 games that we're on together for our listeners so maybe they can jot them down. And who knows if they like some of the ones that we like, that's all you're looking for.
Yeah, and I'll put it in the when I post the podcast, I'll put that we agree on the following games, but it's a lot
Sure.
this week, more than we ever have. But
Yeah.
Denver, Tampa, the Giants, Cleveland, Detroit, Miami, the Jets, the Packers, and the Rams.
Man, that sounds like a disgusting card.
Not really. Sorry. The first game was the Chiefs,
Right. Not
not
Denver.
Denver.
Chiefs.
So if these teams that we picked, they're good teams, and some of them are good teams, and some of them are just hot right now.
There's no way that anyone in Survivor still has Kansas City alive. But if you're lucky enough to be in Survivor and have Kansas City, you have to take them at home against Denver.
Yeah. All right, my man. Well, Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to all of our listeners. Good luck this Sunday, week 17. There's one more week after this. And we'll be back with a preview show for sure next week. And have a happy and healthy New Year, my man.
You too, brother. Listen, anyone who's in the league still, remember you're getting 25,000 more units. The bowl games are winding down here. They've been massacring people. I don't know if you've noticed the bowl
I
games.
haven't so much. Yeah.
Absolute destruction. So stay away from college. There's a lot of stuff in the portal. There's guys opting out. There's coaching changes. No one knows what the hell is going on with these college kids. Stick to the NFL, manage your units, and you need to be there in the end because when you need to be hot, you need units in the playoffs. So you cannot win these leagues.
That's
very good advice.
And good luck to you in Megabucks New York this weekend.
Thanks, brother. I'm hoping to, I'm in 6th right now, which is interesting. Like I'm in the top 10. Guys have been falling
Yeah.
in this college, they just keep dropping. Like it's like
Hmm.
Tetris. They just keep dropping, you know? It's amazing. All right,
All
man.
right, man.
Listen, you're the best. Have a great New Year's with your wife. Good luck with Ohio State. I'll be pulling for you. The Buckeyes.
Yep.
Love to see you guys beat Georgia. I have no affinity to Georgia, you know. So hopefully you give them a game and you have a great new year. And let's touch base. Let's touch base. What do you think? We'll do the wrap up maybe Tuesday or something, or Tuesday night, or actually no, I'm at
Yeah.
the Ranger game. Maybe Wednesday next week.
Maybe Wednesday.
Sounds good.
All right, my man. Have a
All
good
right,
one.
buddy. Be good.
Happy New Year.
You too, brother.